Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Tien and Chatsu, the new version of Tien with the half tank top, and the new version of Chatsu, which isn't a little piece of plastic with no articulation or anything. So this is one where I think most people are going to get it or not. I mean, if they want Tien, they're going to buy this. If they don't, they're probably not. I don't think this review is necessarily necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway for those of you who like to know about the figure. So we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk about the good and the bad. And for both of those things, there are a few things to talk about, but it is overall a really nice release. So let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Alrighty, we are going to treat this review like it is a review for Tien, and that Chiaotzu is an accessory, even though he is mostly fully articulated. I will talk about him in his entirety, though, throughout this review, so stick around for that. Before we get into the review, though, we have to do a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, which is Into the AM. It's the t-shirt people. They do great graphic tees, they do t-shirts, they do all kinds of other stuff. I love this company. It's the only shirts I wear anymore, and they want to keep sponsoring the channel because they like the channel, so it's a match made in heaven. So these guys, like I said, their primary thing is graphic tees, and they are awesome. They have all different kinds. They're all super colorful, super fun. I only wear these shirts anymore. They're great. I love them. One of the great things about this company is you have a different variety of ways to buy. You can either just go through and pick out whatever you want to get. They're all awesome. You can do that. Or you can do bundle deals. You get a bundled discount if you buy 3 graphic tees, or a bundled discount if you buy just plain tees. Or you can use the link in the description below, save some money there. Or you could sign up for the t-shirt subscription club thing, which is basically you get a shirt every month for a discounted price, but you don't get to pick which shirt it is, but it's always going to be a graphic tee. So if you like their designs, that might be a good way to save some money. The print quality is amazing. It is the best print quality I've seen on any graphic tee that I've ever owned. Not just saying that because it's a sponsorship. It is that good. See if I can hold it up even closer for you guys. This has been washed like 20 times. I don't know. I've worn it a bunch. It looks amazing. The colors are still super vibrant. All the little flecks and everything. Like, it's amazing. They're really, really well done. They fit great. They're true to size and they're nice trim fit. Long torso, skinny sleeves. Best shirts I've ever owned. I love these things. Check them out again. Link in the description below. Into the AM. Best graphic tees you'll get. If you do decide to get any, guys, let me know in the comment section below which ones you're getting. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about Tien. First, he stands about 15.5 centimeters, a little bit above that. And that's going to make him just about 6 1/4 inches, a little bit below that, closer to 6 1/8. And so that's pretty good sizing. He's got a little bit of height to him. I think this is actually a better overall looking release compared to the other Tien. Though I don't think there's any direct comparison necessary. If you want to check that review out, it will be up there in the little linky thing up at the top. But yeah, this isn't like a direct comparison to that because it comes with a good Chiaotzu and it's a different look for Tien, so I don't see anybody being like, I've got the old one, I don't need the new one. You might want it. Okay, so before we get into it though, let's do a quick question of the day. Which look for Tien is your favorite? Is it the completely shirtless one like the first release, this release with the half shirt thingy, or the newer release where he's got like the full-on robe, not newer release, the newer look where he has the full-on robe? I do like the robe look, but I am partial to the half tank top look, as reasonable as that may be. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic on this guy. First thing I notice is he is not particularly shiny. That's a very good thing. I hate it when these figures come out shiny. That's awesome. The skin tone has a little bit of luster to it in a few places, but otherwise it's really good. I do like that the green has shading throughout. It's not super directional, like it's just in spots here and there, but it is covering all of the green spots that need it. Like we don't have it in here on the hip, on the inside of the hip, or on the back at all really, but it is scattered throughout on the crotch and on the chest. Like it could be better, but it is well enough distributed that it looks okay. The paintwork on the wrist thingies, it's very clean. I don't have any real issues with that. The little scars, or whatever, I guess they're scars, huh? Those are painted nicely, no issue there. I say scars, I suppose it's probably just one technically. I don't really remember this character design that much, but it looks like it's a continuation. Anyway, it's clean, the boots are nice and clean, everything looks good there, and then his faces are painted really well. Are they as perfect as they should be? I don't know. It looks to me like on this face, his right eye, your left, is slightly off center. It's a little bit farther out than it should be, but that's super tiny and most people wouldn't even notice it, and it probably isn't even a universal thing, but the other faces look really good and this one does too, so I'm pleased. He does have a little bit more of a round head in this version than the other one, but I still think it's a pretty good look. So aesthetically, I like it. I'll give the aesthetics on this guy an 8 out of 10. It's very clean. More shading and better shading would be good, as is always the case, but They did a good job. I'm pleased with it overall. Now, as far as accessories go, Tien does come with the neutral stern face that you see on him in the package. Then we get one where he's got like a little bit of an expression going on there, and then we have one where his mouth is showing and it's kind of a smile, and then we have the yelling one for anything he does, he's going to be yelling pretty much, so that's a good head, and I really like the way they sculpted that with the veins and everything. That's good. For the hands, we have the two fist hands that come in the package. We get the two finger hand. We get the tri-beam hands that kind of tab together just a little bit. We get the clenchy hands, and we get the wide open hands, very versatile. And then we do have to talk about his other accessory, which is, of course, not really an accessory, but that's how we're going to treat him. It's Chiaotzu, and he stands, let's not count the little red nubbin, 3 inches to the top of his head, not the red nubbin, and it's about 7.75 centimeters. So, very small. I'll put them side by side in case you don't want to stick around to the end, though I should make you stick around to the end to see them next to each other. There you go. Good scaling, way better than the little thing that we got before. So I like that. And we're going to run the whole gambit on this guy just real quick. I'm not going to give you ratings, but I'm just going to show you what we have going on. So for the aesthetic, it's super clean. I like the way they did the face. It's very good. His skin tone's very nice. There's nothing too glossy. You see his pants have a little bit of shine to them, but not too much. Paints are very clean around his tank top. His face is good. The nubbin up here, everything is very, very clean given the size. Could the yellow parts be a little better on his pants? Yes. But otherwise, it's pretty darn good. So aesthetically, it's nice. He does come with his own accessories. We have the two fist hands that come on in the package. We get 2 pointing finger hands and 2 wide open hands. Very tiny little hands, very well executed. Happy about that. Now, as far as articulation goes, let me pan out just a little bit, zoom out just a little bit. Not pan. It's just a double ball peg, which doesn't have the greatest range, but it is on there, and let's see how functional it is with the head on it. I think it's going to be enough. Yeah, I think you're going to be able to get your posing done. That just goes to show, even a crappy double ball peg is very effective, usually. So, double ball pegs are the way to go. Now, for the shoulders, it is just a ball peg. It doesn't feel... Yeah, I guess it is. It seems like a double ball peg. So, one in the chest and one in the arm. So, you get your full rotation, of course. They don't raise up all the way because we have limited range. It's just weird to me that they did double ball peg for the shoulder there when they have double or ball hinges that would fit in that space. And it would have worked better. But whatever, I guess this works. It hides the joint well enough. You're going to get enough range out of him, just not a ton. You do get a ball hinge for the elbow, if you can find where it wants to bend. So it's limited range. It's not quite 90 degrees. Obviously, there's no bicep swivel because there's not enough room for it. But you can kind of rotate the elbow joint and on the chest joint. And you should be able to get enough rotation out of that. But again, he's more of an accessory than a full-on release. So it's just enough to make fans happy. And then for the hands... they're so tiny. Little tiny ball pegs. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to move inside there, so I don't think it's actually a double. Kind of looks like it. But very, very tiny ball pegs. They don't feel brittle though, so that's good. For the torso articulation, nothing. You're not getting any. For the hips, it's just another ball peg basically with some floaty pieces. So you can bring the legs up pretty far forward. I like that. Do they go back? Yeah, they go back a little bit out to the side. Let's see if we can wedge that in there. If you tuck the pants in, you can get the legs out pretty much all the way, so that's cool. Let's see if we can do his famous Napa pose. Yeah, you'll be able to do that, so that works. The hips are nice. The thighs obviously have rotation. The knees are a double jointed knee, which are not as good looking as the original knees they showed. It looks like in a lot of the early versions of this guy, there was just a single hinge on the knee, or at least it was better hidden, because when you bend this one, you get the thick piece, then the skinny piece for the knee, and then the thick piece again. It's very disjointed and doesn't look great when he's just standing like that. On the original release, if I can find the original photo, oh my gosh, the original prototypes of which we saw photos, it looked to me like it was done more like the Figuarts Ibuki figure. And I'll show you if I can find it, where it was just like one singular joint that slipped over the other one and then kind of swiveled around, and it looked way nicer. But this will be good enough. It's not terrible. It'll get the job done. And then for the foot, it's just a little tiny double ball peg, which is super minimal, but it'll get the job done. So very pleased with Chatsu. It's exactly what it should have been the first time around. And every time we get a small figure that's not fully articulated, it pisses me off. Like, why doesn't Guldo get articulation? They learned from Chatsu clearly that everybody wanted him to be fully articulated, and at least with Tien we had another chance, because obviously different versions of Tien could come with Chatsu. But for Guldo, I don't see how we're going to get another Guldo unless they just do a standalone release someday, which seems highly unlikely, so that's very frustrating. But Chatsu is a really solid release on his own, but he's an accessory in this review, so I'm going to go ahead and rate the accessories 9 out of 10. No effect parts, no stand, bummer, but Chatsu's really good, and even if you don't count him as an accessory, he does have his own hands. Tien has hands and heads. Nice pack-ins for this release. Okay, let's talk about the articulation on this guy. His head is on a ball hinge. Still not the best way to do it, but for him it won't make too much of a difference. You should be able to pose him very well. He can look down, so when he's up in the air, even though he tends to just angle and face straight like that, you can do whatever you want. He can look up. He can obviously spin his head around to the side. There's nothing encumbering him, so that'll work. The neck does float around a little bit, so that'll help with your like finesse posing. If you're trying to make it look really natural, you can lean the neck a little bit or rotate it some, so that's good. Now for the shoulders, we do have butterflies on both sides, and they're different designs, so we'll go through both. But they do have it inset very far. I got excited when I saw the whole sleeve here. You can see it down there. It's not just a floaty piece, so that's cool. But the butterfly on this side is just... It doesn't serve any purpose. Like, his arm's still straight. It's so far in there that it has no range. There's nowhere for it to go. It doesn't really do anything. I mean, the only reason it does something is because it impedes the articulation itself, and then it allows you to do just a little bit. It's not like it's ugly or anything, it doesn't work. They might as well have just not put anything in there at all, just made it one solid piece and not done a butterfly at all. Just cut away a little bit here and it would have been fine. So that's just weird to me that they didn't make it more functional, but you do get the ball peg the arm is sitting on, and then you get the shoulder ball hinge, which gets up to just about horizontal, so that side's okay. You get your bicep swivel. It's a little stiff, but that seems like it'll be okay. Double jointed elbow, only a little bit better than 90, so it's not as good as we've seen, but it's definitely okay, and it's not terrible looking, so that's fine. Then you get your ball hinge wrist, which is standard. Now let's go ahead and talk about this other shoulder real quick, because it is a different design, and it has the same type of situation where the joint is so far in on the torso that that's as much range as you're going to get out of that butterfly joint. It's almost none, but it does work. If you take it so that the ball peg, see how the ball peg is maxed out to the back, and then you bring the butterfly forward as far as it can go, then you bring his arm around and then use the hinge, you're going to be able to get some joint work out of that. That's as far as it goes though. It's still not super far across the chest, but it does function well enough. If you want it to look better, you can bring this back and do that, and it's still going to be about the same, but it depends on if you want the arm to be farther forward or farther back. It just depends on what you're going to do. It's still limited. It works. It could work better, but it's not ugly, so I'm kind of indifferent. I'm just showing you the limitations of it. And then, of course, on this side, you get a little bit better range out of that shoulder, but not by much. Okay, for the torso, we do have the hinge in there to extend him up to help him to lean forward just a little bit more. But he doesn't lean very far forward at the torso because of how high his belt is. So that's definitely a limitation. Leaning back, again, pretty minimal, and side to side, again, very minimal. He's got a thick belt and it goes pretty high. Not much they can do about that. I would say just leave him squashed and don't bend him over. Stretching him out makes him look weird. You do get your rotation out of there, and it rotates at the top and underneath the belt, and the belt can rotate as well. So yeah, that's very well hidden, all that articulation, just not much range in most ways. Understandable though, so that's up to you to decide if you care or not. It makes sense to me. For the hips, it's basically your standard design. You can bring them all the way forward. He doesn't have cheeks, which is a good thing. I don't like it when they put cheeks on him. We'll talk about that in another Figuarts review very soon or very recently. Check my playlist and you'll see which one came out first. Or just look at my video uploads. Anyway, legs go all the way back. That's good. No looseness. Going out to the side, we do have some limitation. They don't do full-on splits. You just can't get any farther. You can't tuck under anymore, and they can't go over anymore for this floating piece. But that's going to be far enough, I think. That'll be okay, and there's no weird dangly bits, so that's always a good thing. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee. It's definitely not the best looking knee we've ever seen. It'll be okay. I don't know why they're not just doing a better job. Unless they're really trying to reuse these under knees, these inner knees for other figures, which is saving them some money. It really should just all be sculpted through. I don't like the way they've done that. It looks like Legos. It's very broken up. It's very kiddly. So not great. And it doesn't even look great from behind, so I hope they rework that. We do have double ball pegs for the feet, and his work pretty well. They're a good example. Good ankle rocker there going forward. It's still pretty limited going forward, like very limited going forward. Going back is okay. Toe hinge is acceptable, but it still has that sharp edge on there, so it's alright. Nothing special for the ankles. So, long review because we had 1.5 reviews in one. It's still a strong release. I think the articulation's not the best we've ever seen, but it's also not too bad. Like, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just not as good as it could be. I'm okay with that. I'll give the articulation an 8 out of 10. It's definitely okay. It will work. It's going to look good, so that's a plus. It just might be limited in some instances. Okay, so final verdict for this 2-pack / 1-pack with a really, really nice accessory. I think it's pretty much what everybody wanted for the first release for Tien, and that was a strong release. This one's even stronger. The only thing I really feel like I'm missing is an effect part. Something would be nice for him, or at least a stand. Anything like that would be good, but otherwise I'm very satisfied with it. I think you guys will be too. I'm going to give this an overall rating of 9 out of 10. It's one of their better releases lately. Let's see where it came from. This has been a topic for many people. It has to say, oh, you know what? Since this is the Japanese version, it might not say it somewhere on here that in a way that I can read. I was going to see if it was made in China or Vietnam, but my Japanese is rusty, and I don't think it's going to have it on here since we don't have the Bandai sticker. I'm positive it's one of the Chinese manufacturing plants. I would bet money on it, but I can't read any of this. If anybody knows for sure, I'll have to wait until I get my distributed version rather than this version. Either way, I do believe this is one of the Chinese ones, which makes sense because the Vietnam ones don't look anywhere near as good, typically speaking. So, not surprising, but yeah, 9 out of 10. It's a very strong release, and I recommend you guys check it out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. You can still give it a thumbs down. They still work. You just can't see the rating publicly, but if you want to, go for it, but please don't. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.